Good evening. It is now the bewitching hour of 7, and we're going to call our Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Well, first of all, we will have our invocation, and I understand that Mr. Spencer Logan will be by phone to lead us in invocation. Mr. Rita? Mr. Logan, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
To the board, members, and all, let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day that you have blessed us under, oh God. Lord God, we thank you for that life, health, and strength that you have given each and every one of us, Lord. Lord, we are asking you right now that we look upon our leadership of this county as they are making the decisions for the betterment of the citizens here in Surry. Lord God, continue to strengthen them and to keep them, my Father. And also, as we're here tonight, we ask you to look upon the families that have suffered loss through death and the grievance that they are going through, oh God, that you will continue to strengthen them, oh God, and continue to strengthen the unity in our community. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Logan. Officially call the Surry County February 3rd meeting to order, and at this time, we will have a moment of silence. Thank you. We'll stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, board members, we have our agenda, and prayerfully everyone has had a chance to preview it. And I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda at this time.
So moved.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. All in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye or
Aye.
nay. I heard one aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay. Am I hearing? Okay. I did get my hearing checked, but I do have a problem in one of the ears. Thank you all so much. At this time, if there are no other, we have our consent items. Are there any questions or any requests to pull anything from the consent items? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, so move.
Okay. I do want to, I apologize, board members. I would like to pull the consent item for Mrs. Lucy Butler, because I would like to, usually and generally when we do the 90-year-old resolution, we do read it in the presence at our meeting. And our county administrator has agreed to read that for us. So we would I would like a motion to extract Mrs. Lucy Butler's recognition.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept all consent items minus the resolution 2022-03, senior recognition for Mrs. Lucy Butler.
It's been moved. Do I have a second?
Second motion.
And second, all in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, at this time, you want to read that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Mr. Howell, and all the members of the board and the citizens assembled. Resolution 2022-03, senior recognition of Mrs. Lucy Butler. Whereas Ms. Lucy Butler, a resident of the Bacon's Castle District of Surry County, Virginia, will attain the age of 19 years on February 23rd, 2022. And whereas Mrs. Lucy Butler met and married Willie Butler Jr., and together they have raised 3 children. And whereas Mrs. Lucy Butler, along with her husband, own and maintain their own farm, working diligently to cultivate and grow produce and sustenance for their family. And whereas Miss Lucy Butler, a self-employed woman, demonstrated her strong work ethic through successfully creating and managing a child care business in her home called Butler's Daycare. And whereas Mrs. Lucy Butler has been longstanding and a loyal member of Mount Nebo Baptist Church for many years, as well as serving as superintendent of Sunday School Department. And whereas Mrs. Lucy Butler has volunteered many years of her time to actively participate in multiple influential groups and organizations inside and outside of Surry County, and has demonstrated outstanding community spirit in her service. And whereas Ms. Butler has imparted her knowledge and wisdom to those she has mentored and cared for, demonstrated compassion and selfishness to those in need, and provided inspiration and encouragement to all those around her, and in doing so has made a substantial contribution to her community and to Surry County. And whereas the Board of Supervisors of Surry County wishes to recognize this milestone in Mrs. Butler's life and the many contributions that she has made to help make Surry County a better place for all its citizens through her active participation in affairs of the county. Be it resolved that the Surry County Board of Supervisors hereby extend its heartfelt appreciation to Ms. Lucy Butler for her endeavors aimed at improving the quality of life for the citizens of the county, and recognizes Mrs. Lucy Butler for having reached the 90th year of her life. And be it further resolved that the original copy of this resolution be delivered forthwith to Ms. Lucy Butler, and that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the records of Surry County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that will be delivered to Mrs. Butler, hopefully and prayerfully, and read at her church. Motion to adopt the letter for Mrs. Butler, resolution.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we would adopt and approve the resolution for Mrs. Lucy Butler in recognition of her senior years and her contribution to the community.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Next, we have new business, and at this time, I don't see anything under new business, so unless someone have something that they would like to add, we will move forward on to unfinished business. And at this time, we do have our 2022 prepared list of appointments. And I don't know if you've had time to examine those appointments, and if you have, and there are no changes to consider, I would entertain a motion to approve. And if they need to be read, okay, our proposed 2022 Surry County Board of Supervisors subcommittees are: 1, Buildings and Grounds, Mr. William T. Calhoun and Mr. Ronald Howell Jr. Personnel, Mrs. Judy Little and Mr. Michael Drury. Fiscal Affairs, we have Mr. Ronald Howell and Mr. William Calhoun. Economic Development Committee, Mrs. Judy Little and Mr. Michael Drury. The BHAR, which is the Board of Historic and Architectural Review, Mr. Ronald Howell Jr. Board members serving on local boards and commissions. Planning Commission, Mrs. Judy Little. Highway Transportation Safety Commission and Wetlands Board, Mr. Robert L. Elliott Jr. Surry Department of Social Services, Mrs. Judy Little. Improvement Association, Mr. Robert L. Elliott Jr. Virginia Gateway Region, Mrs. Judy Little. Crater Planning District Commission, Mr. Robert L. Elliott Jr. Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, Mr. Robert L. Elliott Jr. Crater Workforce Development, Mrs. Judy Little. Chief Local Elected Officials, Judy Little. And alternates is Mr. Robert L. Elliott Jr. and the other chief local elected official is Mrs. Melissa D. Rollins. Appointments made for the county administrator, clerk of the Board of Supervisors, the FOIA officer, Crater Planning District Commission, Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, Riverside Regional Jail Authority, Riverside Community Criminal Justice Board, Crater Youth Care Commission, and the CPMT, which is through Youth and Family Resources. Appointments made for Deputy County Administrator, Mr. David Harrison, on February 3rd, 2022, the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission alternate, and the Crater Planning District Commission alternate. Board members, are there any questions or corrections?
I have none.
Okay, I do have one correction. Personnel, I had myself and Mr. Drury, but that's going to be Mr. Elliott. Mr. Elliott, is that all right?
That'll be fine.
Okay.
Who will I be serving with?
Mr.
Mr.
Drury.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, board members. We were all on one accord. I would like a motion to approve our proposed 2022 Surry County Board of Supervisors subcommittees, local boards and commissions, board members serving on regional boards and commissions, appointments for the county administrator, and appointments for our deputy county administrator. If I could have a motion, please.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we would approve the board and subcommittee and the reorganization for the year 2022 as they were given by our chairperson in that order.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Do I have a second?
So moved.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor, let it be known
Aye.
by aye.
Aye.
Nays, hearing none, motion approved. Thank you, board members. Next, we move into public hearings, and I'll turn this meeting over now to our county administrator, Rollins.
Yes, okay. Yes, Madam Chair, prior to the public hearing, we do have the revised agenda in front of us, and we have a presentation before the public hearing, and that is Mr. Craig R. Quigley. He is the Rear Admiral, United States Navy retired, Executive Director of the Hampton Roads Military and Federal Facility Alliance. He's going to come forth with a presentation on the economic impact of the federal sector on Surry County. Mr. Quigley, and you may introduce your colleague with you.
No, I don't see it. Oh, here it is, right here. I couldn't see. All right, let's put this in presentation mode. I remember how to do this. Presentation mode.
Madam Chair and members of the Board of Supervisors, good evening. My name is Craig Quigley, and this is Rick Dwyer, and we are with the Hampton Roads Military and Federal Facilities Alliance, or HRMFA, as it is more commonly known. We were formed in the summer of 2006, following the 2005 round of base realignment and closure that had considerable impact on Hampton roads. The 17 municipalities in that time frame, in the summer of '06, were asked to consider joining together to form HRMFA, which is a nonprofit that is designed to attract, retain, and grow federal facilities to the region. 13 of the 17 municipalities found it in their best interest to join together and do just that. And that's where it has been for the last 15 and a half years. Our annual board meeting is held in June, and Hampton Mayor Donnie Tuck, during our annual board meeting, asked Rick and me, when was the last time that we asked those 4 municipalities who declined to join 15 years ago if they would like to reconsider? And the honest answer was never. So Rick and I have gone around to those 4, and it is Surry County, the town of Smithfield, Gloucester County, and Southampton County, and addressed their governing bodies, as we are tonight, to ask for their consideration to explain what we do, why we exist, and to offer an opportunity to join for the next budget cycle. Now, we know we're completely out of whack for the annual budget process. So this would be something that we would ask you to consider beginning in fiscal '23. Okay, so that is the timing here. Let me see if we can go full size. There we go. Okay. This GIS map shows you an actual topography of the federal facilities that are in the region. So if it is the green color, if it's the bluish purple color, let me go back to the other one. There. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
you skipped
Well,
one.
let me go on this one. The first one that you saw very briefly was the actual real estate that's occupied by the federal facilities in the region. So it's a pretty sizable piece of real estate, but this is the one that gives you a more accurate picture of what's going on. Every one of those colored boxes represents a federal something in Hampton Roads. So if it's purple, it's the Defense Department. If it's green, it's the Interior Department, and so on. Arguably the most dense and diverse concentration of federal facilities anywhere in the country. And as you'll hear from Rick in a moment, it is incredibly important to the region's economic health. So our charter is to attract, retain, and grow federal facilities to the region. And the governing board are the elected leaders of the, at the moment, 13 cities and counties of the region, plus another 11 from the private sector, all of whom have a vested interest in seeing a healthy federal presence stay in the region. and the chair is always an elected leader. The vice chair is, and it serves for 1 year. The chair is either from the peninsula or the south side, and the vice chair is from the other, so that equities are addressed. And they serve for 1 year, stay on the board, but step down from that leadership role. The cost of membership is 50 cents per capita. So you have large municipalities and small municipalities as a percentage of their municipal budget have a equal skin in the game. The private sector members pay $5,000 a year. Now that goes to pay Rick's and my salary, rent the office. By the way, we share office spaces with the Planning District Commission in Chesapeake. There are actually 5 regional organizations that work out of there, and we share the back office support. So whether it's graphics or IT or administration, we pay our share of that, and that's a shared service among all the 5. The elected leaders have remained constant since 2006. So tonight we wanted to address you and kind of refresh your memory. What does this organization do? Why does it exist? How does it operate? And ask you to consider joining starting in fiscal 23. So I'll turn it over to Rick.
Get the slides to match up there. As Admiral Quigley mentioned, the federal sector is a big deal to the entire regional economy. According to the ODU State of the Region report, the federal sector accounts for anywhere between 40 and 45% of the $100 billion approximately regional economy. So that DoD alone is about 40 to 42 billion of that. And then places like NASA Langley, Jefferson Lab, those kind of other federal facilities contribute another 2 to 3% of the regional economy. According to the the Bureau of Economic Analysis, there are 20 military jobs in Surry County. Now, the way they report that, it's both place of employment and place of residence. So my guess, since there's no military installations out here, there are service members that commute from here to their duty assignments. There are also, according to BEA, 12 federal civilians. Now, those military compensation averages about $97,000 a year, and the civilians are about $116,000 a year, whereas the average non-military or federal compensation figures in the region are about $43,000 a year. According to the Department of Veterans Affairs, there are 707 veterans in Surry with a median income of about $47,000, and there are 103 military retirees here in Surry County, and the VA pays out approximately $2.6 million in retiree pay to those 100 retirees. As Admiral Quigley said, the agreement for all the municipalities when they joined was a 50 cents per capita. So based on the 2020 Weldon Cooper Center population figures for Surry County, Surry County's share would be about $3,300 in FY23.
Madam Chair and members of the board, that's our presentation, subject to your questions.
Okay.
We would invite you to consider this for joining Harumpha as of the beginning of fiscal 23, so that the budgets would align.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Board members, are there any questions of our guests?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I do
Mr.
have one
Elliott.
question. It sounds like a very good program, but I was wondering, I'm looking at the map and everything that they showed here, all of the different installations and departments that you already have working with your group. And my question is, how active, if we were to join, how active would you all be to bring some type of economic development to Surry County? What benefit would we get from being a member?
First, your voice would be heard. You would be at the table when regional decisions are made. We work very closely with the congressional delegation. A little bit on the General Assembly members and the governor's staff, That's where Rick and I were earlier today, as a matter of fact, in Richmond, but mostly with the congressional delegation, sir. So every year we come up with a list of congressional priorities that we deliver to our delegation, and we ask for their help in making them come true during the course of the year. That frequently is policy decisions, but it can be budget decisions as well. The attract part is what you're getting to. We have attracted a couple of things during our tenure. They tend to, one is Navy, the second is Air Force, and they're going to go where the installations already exist. So I think it's more likely than say an installation of some sort to come to Surry County. I think it would be more likely to see additional people that would be federal civil servants and uniformed service members choose to live in Surry County and contribute to the economy and the fabric of the community that way.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions, board members? If not, then we thank you, and I'm sure the
We thank
board
you
will.
for your time.
You're welcome, and we'll give it further consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Be
Thank you.
safe. Okay. All right, next on our agenda, okay, we have the Virginia Gateway Region Industrial Facilities Authority Ordinance. This is Ordinance 2022-03. Mr. Jabri, how are you this evening? Thank you.
I'm doing well. Good evening, Chairman Little, board members, Ms. Rollins. Tonight, we request the Board of Supervisors to adopt an ordinance to join the Virginia's Gateway Region Industrial Facilities Authority in collaboration and cooperation with Colonial Heights, Dinwiddie, Hopewell, Petersburg, Prince George, and the County of Sussex to foster economic growth and development of Surry County and the region by developing, owning, and operating one or more facilities on a cooperative basis with the other member localities. Provided in your packets are the RIFA ordinance, notice of hearing, and bylaws. The attached ordinance is allowed by State Code Section 15.2-6400. This was presented to the board twice before, on August 5th and the 19th. And we have a special guest, Keith Boswell, President CEO of Virginia's Gateway Region, here as well. So if there's any questions, please let me know.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Boswell, welcome. Good to see you again. Would you like to come forth and speak of, share what it is that you would like to share about the ordinance and the RIFA? I know we've had it before.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Mrs. Rollins, thank you so much for letting me, excuse me, be here tonight. I didn't really come with any prepared remarks. I just wanted to be a resource for you if you had any questions about the RIFA. I know that other communities are, one has already voted to approve, and there is another community that's in the next week or so getting ready to do the same thing. And while there are 7 communities part of this Regional Industrial Facilities Authority, we still got a little bit of road to get everybody in, but I just want to let you know I'm persevering and continuing the presentations. So I'll yield my time.
All right, thank you. Board members, at this time, I think we've all have the presentation. We've had it before, so we don't have it right now. It is in your package. So we would call at this time a public hearing to order for the Virginia Gateway Region RIFA. At this time, comments from the public? Do we need At this time, if there are any public, anyone in the audience that would like to speak on the RIFA? You have any questions? I don't know if you have read the ordinance. It It is on our website. Are there any questions? All right, I don't see anybody coming forth. All right, next, from the Board of Supervisors, board members? No comments?
Ms. Lott, a comment, yes. From the presentation that was given to us previously, I can see how this could be a great benefit to Surry. The questions I had before were answered as far as what would be our benefits, and we are looking at developing our new property on 460, and we can collaborate with the neighboring jurisdictions to get this done. So I think it would be a benefit to us as a county to be in the RIFRA with our neighboring jurisdictions.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Any other board members? I concur with Mr. Elliott. If we can, through this process and with Mr. Boswell, and of course we've had a great relationship already with the Virginia Gateway, and according to the proposal, it only costs if you want it to cost, and so it'll benefit us when we want it to benefit us, and that's appreciated. So if there are no other comments or questions?
Madam Chair, I'd just like to add to my comment. We have had a great relationship with Gateway, but it's always been my concern with Gateway, and not directed at Mr. Boswell at all, but just the group in itself, that Surry would benefit. We've been a part of Gateway, and putting some resources into Gateway to be a part of that. And I would just like to see us not being at the table, but also eat at the table. So when we join this RIFRA, I would like Surry to be really considered to be a beneficiary of us joining. That's my major concern.
Thank you. I must agree. I do attend the Gateway Region meetings along with Mr. Ernest Blunt, who is a citizen of Surry County, who was a previous board member. And I can attest to the Gateway keeping Surry in mind at those meetings and when things are coming available.
Madam Chair, we have staff comments from Mr. Jabari.
Yeah, I recommend that the board adopt the RIFA ordinance, and you know, I think this gives us a great chance as Surry, like Dr. Elliott was stating, this gives us a great chance to expand our tax base and, you know, really grow as a county. And we do have infrastructure issues that we could use this as a tool to, you know, for future growth in our county.
Thank you.
So, Madam Chair, there's a couple of items for the board's consideration. Not sure whether or not you all want to take action tonight, but if you do, there's a couple of items for your consideration. At first is the agreement creating the Virginia Gateways Region Industrial Facilities Authority. That agreement was a 16-page agreement that was included in your Board of Supervisors package. As stated before, there are other member jurisdictions who have already signed off on this agreement. Can we state those jurisdictions again that have already agreed, Mr. Boswell?
Yes, so your neighbor to the west, Sussex, has already approved this, and Dinwiddie is, if I understand my correction to understand correctly today, that next week or whenever their next Board of Supervisors meeting, and it's on their schedule as well. Petersburg has not put it on their agenda yet, but I have been with them, and neither has Prince George, but I've also presented. I still need to present to Colonial Heights and Hopewell. Quite frankly, they've had some other things have gotten ahead of this, and so I haven't quite been there yet. So one for sure, next week it looks like Dinwiddie is going to vote in favor of this, and then I guess Prince George and Petersburg's next.
So Sussex has already joined.
Sussex is done, they are done, yes, sir.
Manual with us.
Thank you, Mr. Boswell.
Madam Chair, may I ask
Yes.
Mr. Boswell? Not quite yet.
That's okay, I'm here for you, I'm here for you.
We, and on Dr. Elliott's comments, you know, Surry, we kind of get caught, if you understand me, between Hampton Roads and Cradle District. I know you know
I
that.
understand the presentation right before you, so.
Yeah. And this property that he was referring to down on 460, the only 200 yards of road frontage on 460 we have, that is right at the intersection of Southampton, and I know you know this, but Southampton's organization is who? Hampton Roads?
Yeah.
What I'm getting at is that I hope there'll be collaboration between this
Oh, yes, thank you.
and what's going on in Hampton Roads.
Yeah.
Again, we kind of get lost in the
You've
Shuffle.
There's a lot of truth in what you just said. I will say this. We are also doing a study for water up and down 460, mainly to address the water at the Sussex mega site. But the idea is if you're going to supply, because it's a big site, it's recognized as what they call a mega site, and you may need millions of gallons of water a day there in order to satisfy mega site needs. So we're doing a study, and basically the study is, where's the water come from? How long is it going to take to get it? How much is it going to cost? Who can be involved in all that? So long story short, that study is about ready to be completed. But the reason I bring that up in this context is that it's going to be a collaboration with whatever solution there is. And we partnered with Isle of Wight, which is on the other side, to be part of that study because it benefits Isle of Wight. So while Isle of Wight is not going to be part of the RIFA, I just want you to see that we are always collaborating with communities or anybody who wants to collaborate for the betterment of what we would call the Gateway region, which Surry is a part of. So another thing that I would like to say is about your property. We are right now working to what we call characterize that property. Get a label on it so that you know what tier you're in. You can be in tier 1 through 5. It's a statewide tier system on all properties that are industrial, so you know where you are in relation to other properties and what the path is forward to move up that tier. A tier 5 is you can build. All you need is to go down and you have all your drawings, all the studies have been done. You can go pull a permit because you're that close on a tier 5 site. Tier 1, it might be an identity of a field that you don't really have control over. But the point I'm saying is that your organization that you're part of, the Virginia's Gateway region, is doing that on your behalf. We're not quite through that study yet, but what I'm saying is that being part of VGR, just like being part of a RIFA, could get you those benefits. Another thing that we're doing is around downtown and retail strategies kind of opportunities. Your organization, Gateway Region, is looking at how can we come together as 7 communities around retail opportunities, and that's everything from trying to figure out what you can do with the downtown all the way to the recruitment side of things. You're going to hear a little bit more about this from your economic development, Mr. Jabri, probably coming up, because this is a new initiative that VGR is putting together for, realistically, probably won't start to the new fiscal year, but we're laying the groundwork right now. As a matter of fact, we had a board meeting today, and we invited Retail Strategies to come and talk about what their experience has already been in our region, our 7th collective, and what they foresee that they could do for the region on a long-term basis. So I give you those little snippets that this is some of the benefit that is coming along, from VGR. The RIFA is one of those benefits that gives you a tool that you, I'll say it again, you have done this in the past, one-off with what you did with Sussex County, to join together under a mutual benefit. But this gives you that umbrella that you can come into that, out of it at almost any time you'd like, without all those time delays or maybe legal expenses and those kinds of things with the 7 members of. So I'm ever hopeful. I think this is just a good tool to have. And Councilman Drury, I don't know if I answered your question fully, but I got kind of carried away with some of the exciting things here, so I apologize for that.
No, you were perfectly fine, and I know all of us board members are somewhat perplexed as to how to put, Surry's different. I go up to Dinwiddie weekly, and I know their economic development side, and you understand, it's two major interstates, two major rail centers, totally different from cottage industries down here. So, again, sometimes we get forgotten about it, and I'm not pointing fingers at you at all. Just a different.
I'm just delighted you're
different angle.
You entrust your allow me to be part of your economic development team, because you do have a unique footprint, and you have unique opportunities, and your opportunities are going to be different than, say, Colonial Heights. That is,
Right.
I mean, they have no industrial land. They are a retail center. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
We just support for cottage industry type endeavors would be super important down here.
I really applaud y'all for doing the 200, 300 yards on 460. I believe 460 is going to be the gem of the future. We really, the way I see things moving, 460 has a lot of opportunity. And so touching that, making sure that you methodically think through how best you want to use that piece of gold that you've mined, I think is important. Again, thinking about the characterizations is the first step of that property, which is hopefully something we'll see by spring. So.
Well, part of that site, and I'm talking too much here, but, and I know that you know it, I know Mr. Jobbery will explain this to you too, but that is a unique area down there on 460 from the fact that the county's property is also, there's a major portion of it that is in the field that's on 460, but there's also a major portion of it that could be used for residential down there, and a unique opportunity for people to live in the country close to 460 and ride the bicycle to work. So
Pretty neat.
might be something.
Pretty neat.
Yep.
Place
I
making.
think it is.
We call it placemaking, which, is the idea that people want to come to places that they like, that they enjoy, that they feel community in. So if you can put work nearby, and it makes a lot of sense.
Especially in COVID times.
We learned a lot, didn't we? We learned a
Road
lot.
prices are going upwards. Thank you.
Any other questions, board members?
I have a question for Mr. Jobbery.
Okay, Mr. Jobbery.
We've been going back and forth with this RIFRA for a minute now, and I just want to know from you, do you feel like if the board was to engage in this, would this be a good tool for you to increase economic development in the county? I think that's what is really important on the minds of everybody on the board. If you feel that this is a good tool for you that's going to increase economic development, I guess that's what we really want to know.
Absolutely. I think where we are as a county now, we really need to focus in on our infrastructure. And I think that's why previously we've been not losing projects, but not even getting projects here, because economic development follows utilities. So this is a way that we could partner with our localities and, resolving as a region as a whole, that issue here, because it's definitely an issue for us and our partnering localities. So,
Thank you, sir.
Madam Chair, yes. Mr. Elliott didn't ask me what my thoughts were, but no, I just want to be able to add to that and to support what Mr. Jobbery stated. Now, obviously, and I'm sure you all know this, as Mr. Drury just mentioned, regionalism, board members and to the citizens assembled, has becoming increasingly important, not just for small local governments, but even the ones that are larger than Surry County. Surry County being the size that it is, and with our other member localities that are a part of, or would be a part of this agreement if they elect to join, realize the importance of you have to be able to work together to be able to achieve some of the economic successes. It's conversations that we do have at the Hampton Roads PDC, at the Crater PDC, and every conversation I can tell you comes back to regionalism and then be able to realize that we can't do things alone if we want to be able to affect the positive economic challenges that we all face. So I believe also that this is a great tool that will help assist Surry County in moving that needle forward to bring economic prosperity to our community.
Thank you, County Administrator. At this time, I have been advised by our attorney board members that there is a technicality that she would like to share with us tonight before we would think of, or if we are thinking about entertaining this and approving it tonight, she would like to speak to us before that. Ms. Danielle? Ms.
Yes,
Powell?
Madam Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, good evening.
Good evening.
Just a brief technicality is I'm not sure if the public hearing has been closed, so I would just suggest closing the public hearing prior to the board taking action on the ordinance or the bylaws.
So the technicality is that we need to close the public hearing first and then move in. Okay, I do have some questions about this RIFR, mainly once the board members are approved. And I understand we'll have, two board members from each locality, is it? Yes. So each locality would be represented equally. We can get out of it if we don't like it. We all will share in the revenue as to what we put into the RIFR, am I correct?
If you choose to do so, yes.
If we choose to do so. So those are my questions. I don't want to get into something or put the county into something that we may lose control and we wouldn't be able to, take an exit.
Correct. And in the ordinance and in the agreement, it does state that we could pull out at any time. And also, normally how the Eastern Virginia RIFA is set up, one EDA member and one board member are the two members representing the locality. And I'm kind of the de facto ex officio. Yep.
Member. Thank you. Thank you.
If I may?
You may, Mr. Boswell.
So it's a very good question, and Mr. Jabri made a good suggestion. Since you're already members of EGR and you have two board members, you could easily have those two board members serve as the board members for the RIFA. That's what we're suggesting for all of our community partners, that, why go through, and since you're already part of an economic development organization, it could be that you may not even have meetings as regularly as we do at VGR, so it could be, the more projects that go into the RIFA, certainly you're going to have more meetings. But as a tool, if you don't use it, you might only need to meet once a year. So, from an efficiency standpoint, you already have board members on the VGR board. You could just roll those into the RIFA.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, board members, if we all on one accord about the public hearing, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Madam Chair, I so move.
Been moved. Do I have a second? It's been moved in second. All in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, board members. Next thing, board members, would you like to entertain adoption tonight of the RIFR?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that at this time that we would enter into an agreement with Virginia Gateway Region and this RIFRA agreement that has been presented to us.
Madam Chair, second.
Been moved in second. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Hearing none. Mr. Boswell, Mr. Jabri, Surry County has approved the RIFR ordinance. Thank you all for your work and support of this, and prayerfully we're going to see big things.
Madam Chair, I believe we need to adopt the ordinance as well, so we just made the motion to adopt the agreement, so we need to adopt the ordinance.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt the ordinance for Surry County to join the ordinance 2022-3. Is that for the Virginia Gateway Region Industrial Facilities Authority?
Second.
Has been moved in second. All in favor, let it be known by the usual sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Hearing none, motion carried, and thank you, board members, for your support. Next, we have a public hearing to adopt our floodplain ordinance amendment, Ordinance 2022-04.
Yes.
Administration.
Yes, Mr. Horace Wade, Director of Planning and Community Development, will give us our opening statement.
Good evening,
Good evening, Mr.
Chair
Wade.
Little, members of the board. Tonight, before we have the floodplain district, this floodplain ordinance amendment is before you as a requirement from FEMA and also the requirement from the National Flood Insurance Program to update our ordinance to meet their standards, because our new maps will become effective April the 6th, 2022. By that date, our ordinance should be in compliance, and so they've acknowledged and given us notice in October of the end of last year, and we got given you some updates about it along the way. Our planning commission heard this, had a public hearing at the end of last month, and passed it unanimously 10-0. And so, before you have the ordinance tonight, if you have any questions, please let me know. But at this time, staff is recommending approval of this ordinance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wade. Board members, are there any questions? Okay, none. Hearing none. We will call the call to order, opening of our public hearing, and we will hear from the public. Please come and give your name and your district, and you have 3 minutes or less. I see no one approaching, so we will close the public hearing. And board members, do you have any other comments or questions about the floodplain?
No, ma'am.
If not, then I would entertain a motion to adopt.
Madam Chair, I move that we close the public hearing.
Oh, okay. I thought I had asked for that, but okay. The public hearing is closed.
Okay.
Are we in agreement, board members? Do we need a vote on that? Close the public hearing?
You can close it.
Okay. The public hearing is closed.
Madam Chair, don't we need to vote on closing the public hearing? We don't.
No, she can close it here.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right.
Would you like me to-
Okay, we declare it closed.
Okay.
Okay, we declare the public hearing for the floodplain closed. And at this time, if there are no questions or remarks, we will entertain a motion to approve the floodplain amendment, Ordinance 2022-04.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt floodplain ordinance amendment 022-04.
You've heard the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor? Let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, so we declare the floodplain ordinance approved.
Okay.
Okay. Reports,
Yes.
the next thing on our agenda.
Yes. So on your agenda, Madam Chair and board members, there was a report from VDOT for the quarterly report, but I did receive a call from Mr. Carroll due to illness. He would not be here tonight. The only thing that I would add from the VDOT report, as you all are aware, recently we had a couple of snow events, and I just want to advise the board that when these events happen, that I do receive a call from Mr. Carroll, and he gives us an update as to the preparation for the storm. So we always appreciate receiving that information so that I can share that information with you in terms of road preparation. And it didn't appear that we had any incidences related to those recent snow events. And I'm sure that when he comes to our meeting in March, he'll be able to give the normal update to the board.
Thank you, Ms. Rollins. Any questions about VDOT's report? I did think that things went well during the snow. Thank you.
Those were just my comments. Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Chair. That, I would not declare that as official VDOT report.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll do a much better job than I did on that, so, when he comes back to report to the board in March.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. We
Okay.
appreciate it. Next, it is your report.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So Mr. Crigley mentioned that him and his colleague was at VACO Local Government Day. And I just wanted to share with the board also that today, that we did spend time at Local Government Day today. As you all know, that the General Assembly time, and that there are so many issues and legislation that undoubtedly impacts local governments. And there are hundreds of bills in the works. And obviously, it is very challenging to be able to navigate through the ones that may directly impact Surry County, although we make an effort to do so. And many times we're asked to respond with data to assist lawmakers in the decision-making process. I did bring back for your information today, because we do had, at the Local Government Day, had a lot of administrators and town managers and Board of Supervisors members, obviously, who take part in that day to be able to talk with their legislators, to be able to advocate for the things that they feel are a priority for their communities. I did bring back for your information, board members, you have in front of you the bulletin that was put together by VACO that outlines the numerous amendments, and also it indicates VACO's position as to whether or not they support or whether or not they oppose the legislation that's being presented. The Virginia Association of Counties obviously is an organization that believes it advocates to the best interests of local government. And as I stated before, to kind of go over all the things that will be impactful, we feel to Surry County would take a lot of time that we do not want to go over right now, but at least you all have the information, so you have any questions. Also in here is the contact information to all of the legislators. If there's any one particular legislative item that you would like me to further look into and to be able to get with our delegation, I would be more than happy to do so on the behalf of the board.
Thank you.
Okay. The second thing I would like to report is Surry citizens continuing connections to rural band. The most recent report that was received, board members and citizens, we have 1,067 users at this time. Of that amount, 819 are Prince George Electric customers and 248 are Dominion customers. And we are happy to report that our most long-standing advocate of broadband, Mrs. Judah Little, is one of those 248 Dominion customers that are now connected to rural band. And from what I understand, Mr. Calhoun, you're also, and I guess we own the Mr. Elliott over there. How you doing, Mr. Elliott?
I got a phone call today. I should be hooked up by the end of next week.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Drury, I think it's already.
Yes, Mr. Okay.
And Mr. Howell led the way.
All right. You led the way.
I led the way. I had it.
Absolutely, yes. And I can tell you from personal experience, you know, my mother is a Dominion customer, and she got connected, and when I called to share it with my daughter and her grandkids, they were just absolutely ecstatic that grandma has now high-speed internet, so that's very exciting. There are 486 pending applications, with the majority, 330 of those being Dominion customers and 156 being Prince George Electric customers. We were glad that we was able to work with the partnership with Prince George Electric Co-op to assist those local businesses, including the town of Surry, that were impacted by the closure of 380 to fast track and get their service connection. So we was very pleased to hear that report, that we did have our businesses, and not saying that all of them have, but at least they was able to accommodate a good number of businesses to get broadband service quicker than what we have normally taken. The county continues to be a model county for the Valley Rural Band Project. As a matter of fact, I have been invited to serve on the panel for the Association of Engineers, the Virginia chapter, to speak on the county's perspective on the Valley initiatives and the efforts made for broadband in rural Virginia. So that is later in March. I just want to provide the board and the community with just an update on the animal shelter project. The work is progressing nicely, as I provided the board in the earlier update. At some point when the facility gets completed, I spoke with Sheriff Turner. He'd been more than happy to have an open house so that the community can see all the improvements. There was a lot to be done in the shelter, and we was glad that we have made a lot of progress with the gates and the cages and the drainage and ventilation systems were some issues that we have now worked to resolve. The radio communication system, Mr. Phelps, and some earlier communication has given the board an update of where we are. We have interviewed, as stated, the candidates in response to the RFP. Staff is in the process of evaluating the proposals while working with the consultant to answer questions and to receive feedback on the selection process. Board members, this is such an important project for the county, and we understand that it has been long overdue, and we have to perform all the due diligence to include engaging all of the stakeholders before we make a final decision. So we certainly will provide a more thorough update to the board, hopefully at an upcoming work session, so that you can hear more about where we are with this process. But it's very important that we work with the stakeholders in the community who are going to be using that system to be a part of those discussions. Obviously, board members, we are in budget season. It is that time, and we are certainly preparing for our upcoming budget meetings. And if there's any questions or concerns from anyone about the budget process, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or hear any items as it relates to the upcoming budget process. Board members, we really have some high priority issues that we would need to address in the coming weeks. We would like to bring back, of course, our financial advisors to update us and to adopt our financial policies. We have other high initiatives as our financial software system, in addition to the radio project that I just mentioned, that are huge initiatives that we really have to work and to undertake. Can't stress enough that, of course, the radio system, everybody knows the importance of that, and the financial software system project that we're going to be entering into is really something that's going to benefit the board, all the staff, and the community, as we would not have to work with an aging system that's been in place since 1999. So we really have to undertake that project as is in the current budget to do so. We also have the reassessment that's underway, and we're providing the update to the board on the reassessment process that's coming up. We have several capital infrastructure needs that we're going to be looking at and bringing back to the board for any questions or comments that you all may have in determining the use of the ARPA funds. We'll bring that back to the board for further consideration as well. And speaking of the reassessment, board members, I do want to let you know that this is a time that you need to be thinking about the Board of Equalization. And just to give you some information as to what needs to happen with that process, of course, there are 5 members, and those members have to be appointed by the Circuit Court following the reassessment. So please begin to consider individuals to serve on that board. According to the criteria, each member has to be a resident of Surry, a majority must own real estate, and 30%, at least 2 members, have a commercial or residential real estate, have to be commercial or residential real estate appraisers or other real estate professionals, builder, developer, or financial professional. I know that's a lot, but I make sure I send that to you all. The members must also attend and participate in the basic course of instruction given by the Department of Taxation in order to be eligible for appointment. So with the reassessment being concluding at the end of March, we just need to think about and to be able to advise me as to who you would like to consider for an appointment. Okay. Social and community engagement. I'm also pleased to report, board members, and I know that months back we've heard the call for the county to increase our social engagement, our community engagement, and make sure that our citizens had an avenue to be able to get information. We do keep the metrics of exactly how our social media is trending. I'm going to reserve a lot of this for a later conversation by our Information Technology Support Director. However, we are want to report that we are in phase 2 of our county's website update. Our tourism page also will be updated, and when we complete the county's main website, we will have direct links to our tourism and economic development site, and I guarantee board members and citizens that you are going to be very pleased with the result of that. In addition, there's going to be an upgrade to the Parks and Recreation site that would definitely be more friendly, user-friendly for registration, where our citizens can just go on that site and register for sporting events and various activities in Parks and Recreation. So that work is progressing, and we're pleased to report that. As mentioned, our new arrangement with Sussex and Surry on our shared building inspection services is going quite well. We have always tracked, board members, our monthly billing reports, and exactly how many inspections we are doing monthly. Our goal was also, has always been to improve the efficiency of this service. And we did receive a report for the month of January, and I want to report that we conducted 64 inspections in January. But most importantly to report to the board members and to the community is that out of those 64 inspections, all of them had been completed within 24 hours. And the plan reviews, all of those had been completed within 10 days. So I want to say that thank you, board members, once again for improving that agreement between Surry County and Sussex County, because obviously it's a great benefit, and we just want to report that we're adding that metric. So in our performance measures, it's great that we'll be able to track this information. So Mr. Westheimer is doing a fantastic job in the county. Board members, as you all know, we made the decision to open by appointment only, and obviously we continue to monitor COVID, and we listen to the numbers, and we make decisions accordingly. And while currently we are open to the public by appointment only, we'll be looking at adjusting that provision at the pleasure of the board, so we can be discussing that as well. We are offering free COVID testing to our citizens, and at this time, board members, I would ask Mr. Phelps to come up and to give just a quick overview as to what's being done in the community.
Thank you, Ms. Rollins.
Good evening,
Phelps.
Madam Chair, members of the
Good
board,
evening.
citizens of Surry County. First, I'd like to bring you up to date on some of the projects we're working on with emergency management. One of the things that was brought up at a recent board meeting was brought by Mr. Eggleston in regards to the towers that are located throughout Surry County. There are 12 tower sites located in Surry County that are owned by either individuals who live in Surry County or companies that are outside Surry County.
Right.
With that project, Mr. Eggleston has taken upon himself to do a lot of the assessments and notify me of which tower sites are posing hazards to our aircraft, low-flying aircraft, which would be our helicopters, mainly our med-flight type helicopters. I wanted to announce that I've reached out to all 12 tower owners and have made contact with them in regards to making sure that the towers are brought up to FAA standards. So I appreciate all your help on that, and it's worked out. It was a great collaboration with Mr. Eggleston, and it worked well. We have been, with COVID related, we have been conducting COVID tests all week, drive-through COVID tests all week long over at the EOC. And we'll be conducting COVID tests through Sunday. Our COVID testing is from the hours of 10 to 4 p.m. As to date, we started Tuesday afternoon at 1 was our first, and it was Tuesday from 1 to 4, and then Wednesday, Thursday from 10 to 4. We've done 33 tests as to date right now. And those COVID tests are 2 to 3 day response time on the results. We're also have partnered with the Crater Health District and the Surry County Schools to offer a town hall meeting, which is next Tuesday evening from 5:30 to 7, and it's going to be at LP Jackson Middle School. This town hall meeting is basically to discuss the benefits of vaccination, COVID testing, as well as any myths that are come along with the COVID vaccination.
What's the date on that again?
It's going to be Tuesday,
Next
You-
Tuesday.
yeah.
There's a and flyers are in the back.
Flyers, we have flyers on the back. The flyer will also be posted on the county website and Facebook page tomorrow, 8th? Okay,
8th of
sorry,
February.
sorry about that.
5:30 to 7 p.m.
Okay. Yeah, 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the school. Now, this is an in-person event for those in Surry County who would like to attend. With the challenges of our broadband, we know we wanted to make sure that we opened it up to the public so that they can attend. But it's also going to be done virtually. It's going to be virtually broadcasted throughout the 8 localities. So they chose Surry County to host that. So it'll be broadcasted throughout all the 8 localities. The goal is to reach a lot of the students, parents, teachers, as well as the general public. We are continuing to partner with the Blackwater libraries on having take-home COVID test. We're the only thing everything's set up. We're just waiting for the test to arrive. That's what we're waiting on there. And then, last but not least, we're continuing to work with the new captain of the Surry Volunteer Rescue Squad. We're facing many challenges with recruitment, retention, and training, and so we're working together to come up with new ideas on how to build that squad up. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on that. Yes, sir.
Excuse me, who's your new captain now?
It's Donna Cox.
Okay.
She's the interim captain. So thank you very.
Okay,
Thank
all right,
you.
thank you, Mr. Phelps. Okay.
you.
Okay. And this is for your information items there. I can ask those, okay.
Public comment.
Yep, we have.
Okay, board members, at this time, if there's no objection, we will open the floor for public comment. Please come forth, give your name and district,
3 minutes.
please.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Robert Chandler, Bacon's Castle.
Mr. Chandler?
Mr. Little, Mr. Howell, thank you guys for your service. First thing is, I'd like to thank Mr. Wade publicly for his reply to my questions about my zoning permit for my construction of a solar array. He apologized for not returning my call. He said he had to go searching in his phone to find it, but he said he did find it. And we had a long discussion, and I want to support him. And if he follows through, which I think he will, on the comments that he made to me, he will greatly improve the permitting process for the county. And I want to thank you personally for contacting me. Thank you very much. Secondly, I have had several reasons to be at the courthouse this past 2 weeks, including a grand jury session. There's no American flag flying there. I spoke with the clerk of the court, and she informed me that it was the Surry County Maintenance Department who had responsibility to raise the flag. It was not there the 2 times I went through the town today. Citizens' comments, I would request that the board look at the citizens' comments being recorded in the minutes. They mean absolutely nothing. They don't tell what the citizens are relaying to the board. Please look at that. And just to make a comment, from a view of improving the 460 property, there is wetlands adjacent to the railroad tracks. If there was a proper wetlands exchange performed, that property could be utilized for direct direct access to the railroad tracks. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, there is one other thing. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There are, in fact, 707 retirees or veterans in the county. That does not include family. So if you add family into that, that number accounts for a little over 20% of the population of this county.
Thank you for that information. Public comments? Good evening.
Good evening. Susan Corvello, Spring Grove. We had been told many times that our emails are being read. However, I sent an email a week ago, and I hadn't received any response from it, nor an acknowledgement that it had been received. And I sent it to all of the board and the government center also. I, as a citizen, would like if at least the person that it's sent to, at least your representative, acknowledge that these emails are going out so that we know that our representative is reading the emails. Even if it's just coming back with, I got it, I'm going to look into it. It doesn't have to go into a bunch of details, but at least that we know. I want to thank you for having the meetings live on YouTube. However, there's been several people that I've talked to in the past that are interested in being at the meetings, but they can't be at the meetings, and they do have comments that they would like to say. But on the YouTube, all you can do is watch the meeting. When we were all virtual, we had where you could call in and you could speak and you could still have your citizen comments if you needed to. So I'm making a suggestion that if we could look into either updating it so that the citizens, if they are sick, have family issues, they can't make it out at nighttime, whatever their reasons are, that we could try to see if we can add that to our meetings. I think it would benefit the county on that. Also, I'd like to ask if anyone knows if the grocery store still actually has a supplier contracted. We're giving money to a person or organization to bring a grocery store to us, and from what I understand, he's gone through 4 different suppliers and has none committed. My concern is that if we don't confirm a supplier, that we're wasting the grantor's money and eventually the county's money to provide a grocery store. So any updates from the grocery store, I think sometimes, need to be given to the citizens. But if we don't have a supplier and we're just feeding money for a grocery store and there is a time frame, I just don't want to see either grantors or the county's money get lost in the mix of something that is not set in stone yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Eggleston?
Mike Eggleston, Denner and Blackwater District. I'd like for you to look into dimming the digital sign out front and the one making the corner in Elburn. It completely destroys your night vision when you come up on it at night. During the day, it's fine, but pulling in here tonight, it wipes your night vision right out. It's just stars.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
My name is Shirley L. Newby. I live on 622. My drive, well, that whole row of 622 where we live at, the dish, I understand that times has changed. People don't dig dishes like they used to. But when you get a terrible rain and so much water, I want to know what a beat out job is. Do they clean dishes anymore, or what we got to do? Because, when you got, my husband don't say that over the years something that happened to the land, and so much when it rains real bad, there's so much water, and we have a whole lot of water that settles in our yard, and the ditches is bad. So much dirt done fell into where the pipes are, and the water can't go out. So I want to know, do we supposed to dig it and get it out, or does the state have a thing that they have to do? I just need to know what we got to do so the water can flow. You know, the ditch banks can flow from where I would say where the county, the line ended to Isle White County going towards Smithfield, and back up to where I live at, going all the way to 617, which is White Marsh Road. So I just want to know, what is VDOT's job is. Is it our job or VDOT's job? So-
Thank you, and we will make sure it's addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask Ms. Newby, you mind giving your address?
1097 Berry Man's Corner Road.
All righty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public comments? Seeing no one approach, at this time, I will close public comments, and I would like to thank each of you for your public comments. We hear you, and prayerfully, you will get your answers. At this moment, board members' comments. Start with Mr. Howell.
Thank you, Ms. Little. I don't really have any comments tonight. I appreciate the citizens being here, and I just look forward to making sure that we can address the issues that you bring forward to us in a timely fashion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Howell. Mrs. Calhoun?
Ms. Rollins, I just have a question. Thank you for the update on the animal shelter. Do we have a percent complete or an estimated complete date of that?
Yes, I did not. Yes, sir. So, excuse me. So what's left to be done is some painting and also some work on the fence. So in speaking with Mr. Williams, maybe 3 weeks time frame, and hopefully when the spring comes and the weather warms up and the animals are brought back in, that the Sheriff Turner said he would be agreeable to having a open house to welcome everyone to see the improvements.
And then are we within budget of what we're anticipating? Or?
We can certainly provide in our upcoming financial workshops some information to that, but I can tell you, Mr. Calhoun, there was more work when we start to work with that floor and the drainage. Debris and things stuck inside, so it was a lot more work than what we initially thought it was.
Thank you. That's all.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Calhoun. Mr. Drury?
Thank you,
You're
Madam
welcome.
Chair. Just one for staff and Ms. Rollins is that I just had a citizen call me that was concerned about, of course, all of us, I live on a dirt path myself, but this winter they were concerned about the access to the dumpsters at Dendron and the Route 40 location, saying there were potholes and this type of thing, and that's an ongoing concern. I don't know what we could do long term. Everything costs money. It would be lovely to see those areas paved at some point in time, but anyway, but that's a concern I get quite frequently. Ms. Powell, Ms. Rollins, the Board of Equalization, how many members are on that? I'm forgetting. Do you know?
It should be 5.
And board members, and I don't know, in the past, each board member appointed someone. I don't know whether y'all want to still hold to that or not, is the reason of saying that.
Okay.
Y'all got any consensus on that?
Be fine.
Okay.
I was of the same sentiment that before each board member appointed someone to that equalization board. But listening to what was stated, we need someone that has, that
Yes.
knows the ins and outs of this
Yes.
you know.
And I can tell you, Mrs. Little, I'm sorry, for just experience thinking back. Obviously, this is a small community, and it may be difficult to meet those specific qualifications. I know in the past that maybe not all the members who the board appointed had those, but again, these were the qualifications, and we do the best we can to find folks to serve in this capacity. So most definitely, if you do have someone, board members, that are interested in serving, just please let me know. I tried to go back and find some of the previous members that served. Again, we do our reassessment 6 years cycle, so a lot of those members may not, be available or may not wish to serve. But if you need assistance from me in helping to find that information, I will continue to do so and maybe give you all some names. Okay.
Yeah,
Can do
I
that.
think we will need some assistance.
I think Ms.
so.
Powell wanted to say
Okay.
something.
Yes, good evening again. Just, Mr. Jury, to your point, I think previously the board has, each board member has recommended a person, and so I think we can continue to go forward with that procedure. So at the next board meeting, if the board if each member has a member that they want to recommend, we can do that, and the board can vote on each person. And after that, we can send that list of individuals to the circuit court for appointment.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. That's very informative, so.
One other comment to keep me from having to write a email to board members and Mr. Wade as well. A line, we heard that, I guess it was a public hearing, I'm forgetting now, last month, was that correct?
Yeah, last month.
And it, of course, wasn't on our agenda for this evening, which is okay. A line had reached out to me, had been wanting, and I'm sure they reached out to other board members as well. And I had asked for some information from them and had not received it. And thankfully today they've gotten an attorney now, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
A good land use attorney, and is helping them organize this process a little bit more. And he reached out to me today, and Ms. Powell was on the phone call, and I was on the phone call, and the attorney and several staff people. And just want to let y'all know that we talked. Of course, I'm right there, and pretty much engaged with the citizens over that way of their concerns. And and I'm assuming they'll send it to all board members as well. And I will let y'all know when I get some information. But they were going to send me the site plan, which wasn't, I don't think, included in the packet last time, the specific site plan. There were some issues about buffering. There's an issue about the landowner, whether they would be bound, and this is more legalities. So they're going to look into that and correct that. In other words, the landowner hadn't signed the application, and so that was an issue. I'm trying to think what else. I asked Virginia Powell about condemnation, and they will not use it. So I asked them if they would put that in there, because that was a concern of the citizens, where they would put that in their conditions. And they also are going to send out a map with the line routes, so that, and that's something I've been asking for some time, but they said they would get that to us as well. And claim they've got all the lines that are on these maps are already have landowner agreement. So again, more detail, it'd be helpful, and some pictures of other installations. They got one down in North Carolina that's being built, and one in Utah. In fact, the hog farms in Utah, I've got a good friend that put those in, so I might get him to run out there and snap a few pictures and get a little information. So I'll just let you know that we're getting more information, and because I live right there, it's in my district, district I represent, will be engaging with the citizens to see with this new information when I get it. So just want to let y'all know I was actively involved in that and actively reaching out to the citizens, and I'll reach out to y'all when they get. Again, I'm assuming they'll send it to everyone, but I'll reach out and make sure that all of y'all
M-
have
m-
this
Mr.
information.
Drury, uh, I just want to know, are you talking about the same map that Ms. Rollins sent to us? She sent us an email with some of the information that you have suggested. I didn't know if you were talking about something different.
Something different.
Oh.
The information is something different. And let me just explain it because, well, I won't get into all the requests of talking to Align. They sent us a map of supposedly the different sites they had looked at, but all that was a tax map parcel map of every parcel that touched the gas line, claiming that this was sites that they had considered. Well, my farm's one of those sites, and they sure haven't reached out to me, if you understand. And so that's that. But no, I'm talking about a map that would show me in detail where the methane lines will be coming into this proposed site, which they haven't provided. They provided us one at the public hearing, but it was so small, you can't make heads or tails about that. And because I want to know who it's impacting, and because the citizens over there are telling me that nobody's agreed, so I want to understand that. And we'll also tell y'all that I spent Sunday afternoon looking at Google Earth, and for some reason this site doesn't work out. There are some good sites still in Surry County and Sussex and the edge of Southampton. There's some good locations, so trying to get the information from them as to why this site is so good. So, but no, it's beyond what we've already seen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, well, thank you, and I think they really want to do business in Surry, and I think they are on the track to make sure that that the citizens are comfortable with what they're doing. So we appreciate them, you reaching out to them and them reaching back to you.
Madam Chair, yes, Mr. Jury, if they would like to send the information that you're asking for, if they would send it to me, I would make sure that I get it out to all the board members, or send it to Mr. Wade. I'll make sure I get it out. And I want to just double check with Mr. Wade. Mr. Wade, is there anything else perhaps that we could have received from Align based on the last public hearing that we need to get to the board members? Other than the map of the previous sites, it could be something else that
I think we received the map of the previous sites from them, as well as the map of other locations that are like in the region, not necessarily, I think, throughout the 4 localities.
Okay.
They provided that. Other than that, I don't think they provided anything else to us.
Okay.
But they did send that request what we had asked for. They didn't send what you had asked for at all. But I think just knowing what Mr. Drew was requesting, I think we was asking for that map that has all the locations of the pipelines. I think that's what you're asking for, but kind of zero in on where they cross property boundaries. I think that's what you're asking about.
It is.
But they see the map, but you can't zero down in on it. So I think that's what Mr. Drew is asking about.
I want to make sure that I had not missed anything. Thank you.
No,
sir.
you have not.
Okay.
Me neither, so thank you.
Okay.
I'm good too, thank you.
Okay.
And if I may make one follow-up comment, Ms. Rollins, if I assume Mr. Wade and Ms. Rollins, y'all have got Justin Pope's email address?
Justin Boats.
Pope.
Oh,
P-O-P-E. Well, there's a new, Justin Pope is our projects manager for Dominion, and he was the one that arranged this call today, and I can't think of the attorney's name, because this information is going to come through either Mr. Pope, and he's emailed me, so I certainly, what I was getting at, if y'all could reach out to him. I can't think of the lawyer's name right off the top of my head. Miss Powell?
I don't recall his name.
It's like Tom Henley with Troutman. It used to be Troutman Saunders, but I can. I know Mr. Pope's email address. I will send it to y'all.
Okay.
And if y'all don't mind reaching out to him. Again, I'm assuming he's going to send it, but thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Drury. Mr. Elliott?
Madam Chair, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Eggleston for the work that he did with the towers. The citizen input, thank you, sir, for taking your time out to secure safety for the citizens in the county by doing the assessment on the towers. And I also want to let Mrs. Newby know that I'm on the Board of Highway and Transportation, and I will bring this up at our next meeting, make sure that that situation is taken care of. And also, board members, I received a notification that states, "Dear Reverend Elliott and other board members, yes, there was so much history. Gerald worked hard and did a lot of good for the county, I believe. But he loved Surry County so much, and he gained so much by virtue of his service. He would want me to thank you all." This is from Judge Gamil Pondexter in reference to her husband, Mr. Gerald Pondexter, who was the Commonwealth Attorney and the County Attorney for Surry for many years. So his wife wanted to thank the board for allowing him to serve, and he did give honorable service to the county. So we just want to accept this thank you from Mrs. Pondexter. Other than that, just want to let the citizens know that we as a board, I truly believe, are working for the betterment for the citizens of the county, and that we may continue to try to increase the quality of life for everyone here. Thank you. That's my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott. Thank you, board members. I also just would like to thank Mr. Eggleston. We appreciate that, what you did. And I know our emergency department does, because we are about to undertake quite an undertaking with this radio system. And we've had those issues where people can't, our sheriff and our emergency fire and all cannot communicate. And so maybe that's what was going on. Part of it is because the towers were not working. I'm not sure. But thank you so much. That was quite a honor for you doing for the county. Thank other people for their comments. Mr. Chandler, thank you for your remarks. We appreciate those. And Ms. Covella, yours, all comments. And I'm sure that we're going to look into and possibly, hopefully, can make some change in those directions for those who cannot reach or read or get the information. At this time, board members, if no more comments, we have agreed that we will continue our meeting to February 17th at 5:30 p.m. And I am taking the liberty to say that we will meet at the in the board members' room here in this building, which is next to the county administrator's office.
The conference room?
The conference room. And so, are there any questions? 5:30 on the 17th of
This is for
February for the work session.
Work
Yes,
session.
work session. So we don't encourage others. You know, the board needs to talk among itself about issues. So if there are no questions about that, or if anyone have any problems with that, I need to hear it now. If not, I would like to have a motion that we would continue this meeting to February 17th at 5:30 in the conference room.
So moved.
Then moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Then second. All those in favor, let it be known by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. I hear no opposition, so we will convene on February 17th at 5:30 in the conference room. If there is no more business?
No.
Okay, no more.